Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of the JoshCast, the podcast that still does not understand why esport gamers are considered athletes. I'm your host, Josh, and I got a bit of a short episode for you guys today, I think it's going to be a short one. I want to talk about the 2021 Game Awards and the winners and the nominees and my thoughts on everything. This year's Game Awards, in my opinion, was kind of shallow. I know a lot of people will disagree on that, but there just wasn't a whole lot of games that were in the running. Like, as we go down these categories, there's a lot of repeated games in every category. Kind of a quiet year for gaming in my eyes, compared to previous years where there's just been stacks of competition for each category, but we see a lot of repeated games in here. It doesn't take anything less. I'm still happy with a lot of the winners. There are a few winners that I don't understand, but that's normal. That's what makes talking about the Game Awards fun, is that everybody has a different take on the games and who won and who lost. So getting right into it, with the Game of the Year winner was It Takes Two, and it won over Deathloop, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. Personally, I was very happy that It Takes Two won the Game of the Year. The only other game that would prevent me from rioting would be Metroid Dread winning it, but Metroid Dread shouldn't have won it anyways, just because I felt like that game was just a little too short. Like, that game was not very long, but It Takes Two, hands down, was the one that I thought should have won the award. No offense to the other games, but I haven't even really played them yet. I'm not big of Ratchet & Clank. I'm not a big fan of Resident Evil Village. Well, I guess not the game, but the franchise Resident Evil. I'm not a big fan of it. Not saying that it's bad. I'm just, not a fan of the series. And I've never heard of Psychonauts 2, so that says something. And so in my eyes, it had to be It Takes Two. And if it was anything other than It Takes Two or Metroid Dread, I probably would have burned something. But very happy for that game. Definitely deserved it. That game is a lot of fun. I haven't heard anything bad about it, surprisingly. Moving on, Best Game Direction was won by Deathloop. And Deathloop won over It Takes Two, Returnal, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. So like I said in the beginning, there's already a lot of repeat titles in here, and we're going to see that even more throughout the other categories. But Best Game Direction is awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. I mean, Deathloop definitely deserves it, but I was kind of hoping It Takes Two would sweep it also. I haven't heard of Returnal, and we all know my thoughts on the Ratchet & Clank franchise. So I was kind of hoping for It Takes Two, but I'm not disappointed by the outcome of it. Really, it's deserved. I don't have any major complaints with it. I'm not salty about it or anything, because at the end of the day, it's just someone's opinion, right? Moving on to Best Narrative. For outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game, we have Deathloop, It Takes Two, Life is Strange True Colors, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Psychonauts 2. And this one was won, surprisingly in my eyes, by Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. It took the award for Best Narrative. I was torn on this one. I thought it should go to either It Takes Two or Life is Strange. Those two I thought were for sure going to win it. Like, one of those two, right? Did anyone else disagree with that? But then Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy won it, surprisingly. Like, I was caught off guard by that one. I mean, when I saw this award and the outcome of it, I thought, well, they're obviously just trying to stop It Takes Two from sweeping every single award for video games in this year's Game of the Awards. So I call BS on this award. I don't get it. I didn't think Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy had that good of a narrative. I don't think it was bad, but over It Takes Two or Life is Strange, no, I disagree with this one I disagree, but let me know what you guys think down below. Next up, we have Best Art Direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. Deathloop once again the winner of this, and it won over Kena, Bridge of Spirits, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and The Artful Escape. Surprisingly, a title with art in its name did not win Art Direction, but this is another winner that I don't really understand. Deathloop, while it's reviewed good, but its art style didn't really stand out to me a whole lot. Like, it didn't strike me as anything special. It was good, don't get me wrong, but to win the award for Best Art Direction over Kena, I thought was the clear winner for Best Art Direction. Like, in my eyes, I thought it was a for sure win for Kena. But here comes Deathloop, and I'm not entirely sure why. But it doesn't seem like people are too upset about it. I mean, there's some people who agree that Kena should have won it, but I mean, Deathloop did look good, but to beat Kena, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I don't get it. But I mean, all praise to Deathloop. I mean, congrats. It's a great game, but artistically just didn't do it for me in terms of winning the award. Next up, we have Best Score for outstanding music inclusive of score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack. The winner of this one was Nier Replicant, and it won over Cyberpunk, Deathloop, Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy, and The Artful Escape. I'm going to be honest, I haven't heard the soundtracks for these games in their entirety to know if this was a good award, a good winner, and whatnot, or who should have won this. I didn't really do too much research into that, just because in my eyes, Best Score in music is very, I guess, debatable, regardless of who's nominated and who actually wins. There's always people who disagree, just because we all have different opinions on what soundtracks make a game good and whatnot. And I just, in past years, I've always kind of disagreed with winners of Best Score in Music, just because I have different views on what a soundtrack should be like. Not to say that they're not good soundtracks, I just have different thoughts and opinions on soundtracks. But this year I actually didn't really listen to any of them, so I personally do not know which one should have won, or if Nier Replicant was the rightful winner. I don't know. So I can't really talk a whole lot about that. Next up, we have Best Audio Design, recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. And the winner of this award was Forza Horizon 5. It won over Deathloop, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, and Returnal. I don't disagree with Best Audio Design. Forza Horizon sounds great. It does. I haven't really played a whole lot of it. I've mostly watched people play it, but it still sounds great. No, I can't think of another one that should have won it. But granted, I haven't played some of these games, so I wouldn't know for sure. The main one, though, that I have followed is Forza Horizon 5, just because it's everywhere. And Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, just because I hoped and prayed that game would become more appealing for me, but it hasn't. And that sucks. I used to really like Ratchet & Clank, but I just grew out of it. I don't know why. I just grew out of that franchise. Next up, we have Best Performance, awarded to an individual for voiceover acting, motion, and or performance capture. And the winner of this award was Maggie Robertson for Resident Evil Village. And she won over Erica Mori from Life is Strange, Giancarlo Esposito from Far Cry 6, Jason E. Kelly from Deathloop, and Ozioma Akaga. God, I'm probably butchering these names. But overall, on the nominees here for Best Performance, I really don't have much of a take on it. I mean, it is what it is. And like Best Score in Music, it's very opinionated. I don't disagree. All these people are very talented. You can't really pick, I guess, a clear winner and make everybody happy unless like a year is just that talentless in performances, but that will never happen. There's never going to be a year that shallow. But yeah, congrats to Maggie, of course. And I mean, let me know what you guys think down below. I really don't have much of a take on it. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, congrats to all the nominees. So moving on, we have Games for Impact for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. The winner of this award was Life is Strange True Colors, and it won over Before Your Eyes, Boyfriend Dungeon, Chicory, A Colorful Tale, and No Longer Home. I was happy for Life is Strange winning. I was hoping that this award would be one between Life is Strange or Before Your Eyes. I was personally rooting for Before Your Eyes just because of, I guess, just how emotional of a story it told and how incredible that story was and the game was. I thought the game was a little short, but it was still very impactful for me. I really enjoyed Before Your Eyes, but Life is Strange definitely deserved it also. That was a great game. Very happy for it. I don't really have much else to say. I never heard of Boyfriend Dungeon, and I never heard of Chicory, A Colorful Tale, so I wouldn't know where those two fit in. And I didn't think No Longer Home would win, personally. So I knew it had to be one of the two, but yeah, happy for Life is Strange. I personally would have given it to Before Your Eyes, but I mean, I'm not disappointed because Life is Strange absolutely deserved it. Next up, we got Best Ongoing Game, awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. The winner of this, and rightfully so, is Final Fantasy XIV Online. Like, did anybody even question this? Like, did anybody think that it was going to be something other than Final Fantasy XIV to win this award? I mean, its competition was Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact. When I saw the list of nominees, like, I immediately knew Final Fantasy was going to win it. But I personally didn't care who won this award as long as it wasn't Genshin Impact. Fuck that game. Genshin Impact is a trash-ass game for fucking neckbeards who don't know what the sun looks like and who are most likely to stalk a 13-year-old girl on Discord or Reddit. Like, let's be real here. Genshin Impact was made for fucking neckbeards. So as long as Genshin Impact didn't win, I would be happy. And I'm happy Final Fantasy XIV Online won. Like, it deserved it hands down over all of the other awards. That's my personal take on Final Fantasy and on the nominees. Nothing against any of them except Genshin Impact. Fuck that game. But yeah, nothing really else to say. It deserved it. So moving on, we got Best Indie Game for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. This one was won by Kana, Bridge of Spirits, thankfully, and it won over 12 minutes, Death's Door, Inscription, and Loop Hero. This is another one for me that I knew it had to be Kana, Bridge of Spirits. Like, the same way Final Fantasy won the last one, like, was there ever any doubt? Was there ever any doubt that this game would not win? I love the indie game category. It's a chance for us to see a whole bunch of non-AAA games and what new developers are making. But the thing that I have with the Game Awards as a whole, not just for Best Indie Game, is that it serves as kind of a commercial for all of these games. Because you go in, you see the nominees, and you're like, wait, what are these games? I've never heard of these. And for me, that was 12 minutes, Death's Door, Loop Hero, and Inscription. So 4 of them that I didn't even hear of. I knew of Kana, but the other games I hadn't even heard of, and watching the Game Awards, it just serves as a giant advertisement to them. So for these indie games, it doesn't really matter who wins, because at the end of the day, they're all going to be kind of winners getting advertisement like that. It's whatever. That's just my personal thoughts on it. But playing into the next category is Best Debut Indie Game for Best Debut Game created by a new independent studio. This, of course, won by Kana, Bridge of Spirits, and it won over Sable, The Artful Escape, The Forgotten City, and Valheim. I don't know how Kana didn't win this one. I mean, I think it was pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm sure people have other opinions on who should have won this, but for me, for Best Indie Game and Best Indie Debut Game, it had to have been Kana, right? I love the Pixar look to it. It gives me Pixar vibes, and I love that. The game's fucking gorgeous, and I'm really happy for it. I knew it was gonna win these 2 awards. I mean, it had to, right? So moving on, we have Best Mobile Game for the best playable game on a mobile device. And unfortunately, a moment of silence for the other games because Genshin Impact won this. The Neckbeards are taking over, ladies and gentlemen. It's unfortunate. Neckbeard Impact won over Fantasion, League of Legends, Marvel Future Revolution, and Pokemon Unite. I mean, I don't really care about any of these games. They're all kind of trash to me. But looking at the categories, for the first time I thought, who gives a shit? As long as League of Legends and Genshin Impact lose, I'll be happy. But Genshin Impact ended up winning because I guess the people who decided this were mostly neckbeards or who support games that sexualize children. I don't understand it. I don't think Genshin Impact should be in the running for anything, really. Not just because of that, just because I think it's a poor game on top of all its weird neckbeard qualities that it has. But, I mean, it's mobile game. It's one of the most who gives a shit awards in the Game Award. So, I mean, it's whatever. Moving on to Best Community Support, recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates and patches. And this, no doubt, was won by Final Fantasy XIV, and it won over Apex Legends, Escape, Destiny 2, Beyond Light, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. This is another one that I looked at and thought immediately, yeah, Final Fantasy wins this game. Like, the Final Fantasy community is incredible. They love their franchise. They support it through everything, man. So this was a no-brainer that Final Fantasy would win. But what really surprises me is that Fortnite was nominated for this award. It was in the running. And I don't get that because Fortnite is just an incredibly toxic fan base full of just a bunch of kids who just bitch and moan and everything. And the only conversation piece that any of these fans can really talk about is Ninja and other streamers and whatnot. Like, they're really boring. And if you say that you don't like Fortnite, they act like you just killed somebody close to them. They go rabid on you. And it's really fucking hilarious to watch them get all triggered and whatnot over this. But happy for Final Fantasy. It deserved it. It was the clear winner. I mean, it feels like for a few of these awards that they just took a handful of games and just threw them in with the clear winner just for the sake of filling up 5 nominees. I mean, that's what it feels like. It feels like there was only a few select games that were worthy of awards, and they threw them in, and then they just reached into a bucket, grabbed a handful of other games, and just threw them into the list for the sake of filling it. Because like I said in the beginning, this year's Game Awards felt shallow in terms of the number of games being represented. I mean, you can't deny that. This was a bit of an odd year for gaming, but, you know, with pandemic and all, you know, game development has kind of slowed a little bit, which is like why a lot of games are getting pushed back on their release date over these past couple years. But I don't know. I'll get into that later when we get through the awards of what my thoughts on Game Award is and whatnot. But moving on, Best VR AR Game. For the best game experience playable in virtual or augmented reality, irrespective of platform. The winner of this was Resident Evil 4, and it won over Hitman 3, I Expect You to Die 2, Lone Echo 2, and Sniper Elite VR. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the Resident Evil franchise. It's just never appealed to me very much, but I figured this game was going to win it. It's the only real, I don't know how to put this. Out of the nominees, it was the only one that really felt right for a VR game. I don't really know how to put it into words, but it just felt natural for it to win this. Like, I don't even have to play Resident Evil 4 to know that it was probably going to win this award. But, because, like, Hitman 3 and Sniper Elite, like, what? I didn't understand that, which supports more into my idea that they literally just grabbed a bunch of games and threw it in there for the sake of getting 5 nominees for every award. Just so a winner looked like it had competition. But, yeah, not much to say on that. It just one of those things where you just expected it to win and you don't really know why some of the other games were nominated that got it. But yeah, happy for Resident Evil 4. The fans are probably really happy about that also. I know Resident Evil fans love their franchise like Final Fantasy fans do. So it's good to see the community happy about it and celebrating the wins that Resident Evil got. They deserved it. If anything, their community deserved it. Like, you got to be happy for them, right? Next up, we have innovation and accessibility, recognizing software or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. Nominations were Far Cry 6, Forza Horizon 5, which won it, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and The Veil Shadow of the Crown. Did anyone expect Forza Horizon to lose this one? This is another one where obviously Forza was going to win it. I have no idea why any of the other four were even there. They were just clearly shoehorned in. Because, like, have you seen some of the setups that people have for Forza Horizon? Or just racing games in general? It's crazy. These people put a lot of money into their setups for these racing games. So obviously Forza was going to win it. I really don't have much to say about that. It was no shit, Sherlock, that it won. I'm more just curious about the other nominations. Like, somebody help me figure that out, why they were in the running. Because I can't wrap my head around it. Moving on, we have Best Action Game. For the best game in the action genre focused primarily on combat. The winner of this was Returnal. It won over Far Cry 6, Deathloop, Chivalry 2, and Back 4 Blood. I don't know a whole lot about Returnal. I honestly thought Chivalry 2 was going to win it, but I could see it going to Returnal. I don't know. I wasn't really rooting for Chivalry. It was just the early prediction that I had for it. Because, again, I hadn't really heard of Returnal. I didn't think Far Cry 6 was going to win it. Although that might be a bit controversial of a take. Yeah, I honestly thought it would go to Chivalry. I doubted Far Cry. And I didn't think it would go to Back 4 Blood. I thought maybe Deathloop, but I don't know. I didn't really have much of a take on this. So playing into the next award is Best Action/Adventure Game. For the Best Action-Adventure Game, combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. The winner of this, obviously, was Metroid Dread, and it won over Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, and Psychonauts 2. Yeah, everybody, I think, expected Metroid Dread to win this, and I'm super happy for Metroid Dread. I'm super happy for it. It absolutely deserved to win some sort of an award for that game. It was a great game. It was a lot of fun. I played the demo. I played the full version. I've watched other people play it. It's just a fun game. I just wish it was a little longer. For me, the game just felt a little short. But moving back to the topic that I was saying earlier of games making repeated appearances, it feels like I'm reading the same 5 games every time. But I'll get to that later. Just another award, like, wait, haven't we seen these same 5 before in a few other categories? But next up, we have Best RPG. For the best game design with rich player customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. And the winner of this was Tales of Arise, and it won over Shin Megami Tensei 5, Scarlet Nexus, Monster Hunter Rise, and Cyberpunk 2077. This category, hands down, for me, was the most competitive award between the 5 nominees for the award. I was hoping, honestly, that Shin Megami Tensei would win it. That was my hope. That was one that I thought would win it. But I'm happy for Tales of Arise. Like, all these games really are believable in this category. My fear, though, was that Cyberpunk was going to win it. Cyberpunk did not deserve to win this award, and thankfully it didn't, just because of how unfinished it was and how buggy it was when it came out. If Cyberpunk was actually finished when it came out, I have no doubt it would have won Best RPG, but just because it was an unfinished mess of a game upon release, it definitely didn't deserve to win this one. So it was just one of those things where I don't care who wins as long as Cyberpunk loses. And honestly, with some of these awards and previous trends with the Game Awards, I felt like Cyberpunk was going to win it just because of popularity and how much it's talked about, despite it being negative press. But I guess any press is good press. So I honestly thought Cyberpunk was going to win it. And I guess one of the main reasons why I thought it was going to win was because of last year in the 2020 Game Awards when The Last of Us Part 2 won Game of the Year and everybody fucking rioted. Like, nobody was happy about that. That Last of Us Part 2 shouldn't have even been in the running. The Last of Us Part 2 should not have been in any category. That trash-ass game should not have been anywhere near a Game Award. And yet it comes in, wins not only Game of the Year, but Best Game Direction and Best Narrative, along with Best Audio Design. Like, what? I'm looking down the list. It also won Best Action Adventure Game, Innovation and Accessibility. This game got decorated, and it was a piece of shit game that shouldn't have been anywhere near anything. And because of The Last of Us Part 2 last year, I thought Cyberpunk was going to be, I guess, the same kind of thing this year, where they put it in a whole bunch of different awards that it doesn't belong in, and it wins a whole bunch of them just because of popularity, I guess, because of its name. Not about how well it did or performed, but just its name and the hype that was around it. And I thought Cyberpunk was going to be that, and thankfully it wasn't this year. Thankfully. Like, I don't have anything against Cyberpunk 2077. It's way better of a game, even on its initial release, than The Last of Us Part 2, because I fucking despise that game. But I was worried that Cyberpunk was just going to start sweeping awards just because of the hype that was around it when it released. Not about how bad of a release it was or how bad the game quality was. So, moving back on topic, I'm happy for Tales of Arise. I personally thought Shin Megami Tensei should have won it, but I'm not upset about Tales of Arise. I'm just happy that Cyberpunk didn't win it. Moving on, we have Best Fighting Game. For the best game designed primarily around head-to-head combat. The winner of this one was Guilty Gear Strive, and it won over Demon Slayer, Melty Blood, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, and Virtual Fighter 5. I don't really have a take in this. I'm not too big on fighting type games. I personally was rooting for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl just because I see that game everywhere and it's a lot of fun. So that'd personally be my pick, but I'm not too familiar with the other games, which is why I don't really have a take in it. I know of Demon Slayer a little bit, but I've never really been, I guess, intrigued by the franchise enough to play it. It's really just Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. So, yeah, I don't really have a take on this. I don't really know what people think of Guilty Gear winning, but I just personally was rooting for Nickelodeon, even though I knew it wasn't going to win. It was just an underdog to me. I was happy to see it there. It deserved to be in the running, though, for sure. Moving on, we got Best Family Game. For the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform. The winner of this was It Takes Two, and it won over Mario Party Superstars, New Pokemon Snap, Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, and WarioWare Get It Together. Honestly, looking through the nominees in the running, they all belong, I thought, except Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap had to have been thrown in just for the sake of it being included in the running. Just so, hey, look, it was nominated for this. But It Takes Two definitely won this award. Like, there's no doubt about it. Mario Party Superstars, it was a good game, but it was very shallow in content. There isn't a whole lot of meat to that game. It's just a sandwich with like two slices or two thin slices of ham and then two giant pieces of bread. Like, there's nothing to it. And Super Mario 3D World, I mean, yeah, it definitely deserved to be in the running, but it didn't deserve to win, thankfully. And WarioWare, I was really happy to see WarioWare get some love. But It Takes Two was the clear winner here, and I have no idea why Pokemon Snap was included in this category. Like, if they wanted to shoehorn it into a category just to give it some looks, then they could have probably found other categories for it. Like, personally for me, I would have had it thrown into best art direction just because Pokemon Snap looked incredible. I really liked the way that game looked. But if you wanted to put it into a category in the running to give it that free advertisement, why would you put it in best family game? Of any other category you could have put it in, you put it in that one? All right, but I don't get it. Next up, we have best sports racing game for the best traditional and non-traditional sports and racing game. We had F1 2021, FIFA 22, Hot Wheels Unleashed, Forza Horizon 5, and Raiders Republic. Again, no surprise, Forza Horizon 5 won this. This is another category where you have your clear winner, and then you have the other 4 nominees that just are there for the sake of filling up space instead of just having one nominee. Really not a whole lot to say. I'm not big on sports and racing games, but I didn't have to be to know that Forza Horizon 5 was going to win. Moving on, we have best sim and strategy game. For the best game focused on real-time or turn-based simulation or strategy gameplay irrespective of platform. And the winner of this was Age of Empires 4, and it won over Evil Genius 2 World Domination, Humankind Inscription, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't know why Flight Simulator was included in this. I didn't really have a take in this category. I didn't play any of these games, but just looking at them, I figured Age of Empires was probably going to win just because of the name and the popularity that it had. I've heard of Age of Empires more than I have any other of these games besides Microsoft Flight Simulator, but again, no idea why the hell this game was in sim and strategy game. Like, of anything else that was released this year, you couldn't have found something else. But I don't know. That's just me. Next, we have best multiplayer game. For outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform. And the nominations for this were Back 4 Blood, It Takes Two, Knockout City, Monster Hunter Rise, New World, and Valheim. Like, do I even need to say which one won? We all know which one won, right? It was clearly It Takes Two. Like, another category, you have your clear winner and everything else. Like, I think people would have been upset if it was anything but It Takes Two, regardless of your thoughts and opinions on that game. Like, it was the clear winner. Nothing really else to say. And that's, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, I've been saying it before. It Takes Two is a phenomenal game. I really had fun with it. But it just goes back to the shallow game entries this year. There just wasn't a whole lot. I should have, before I started this podcast, went in and counted the different games and then compared it to different years of nominations to see where it ranks on the number of games being represented throughout all the categories. That's really all to the Game Awards. I mean, there was content creator and all the esports bullshit, but personally, I don't give a shit about esports. Like, I don't. Like, go outside, people. No disrespect to any esport athletes. I just don't see the appeal in it to me. I also don't get why esport players are called athletes. You are not an athlete. Like, I stand firm by that. As somebody who's done a lot of sports over his life and somebody who has gamed a lot over the course of my life, gamers are not athletes. We are the exact opposite of an athlete. Like, you just sit on your ass all day unless you're playing like Ring Fit Adventure. Then maybe if you played Ring Fit Adventure, then maybe you can be considered an athlete if you did it competitively. But I'm laughing at the thought of an esport competition of just Ring Fit Adventure. Like, that'd be fucking hilarious. Let's just be real. So, all in all, I don't give a shit about the esport awards. I don't know who any of them are, and I'm thankful I don't know who they are. That's what I said at Thanksgiving. At Thanksgiving feast, when you go around the table and say what you're thankful for, I said I'm thankful I don't watch any esports and I don't know who any of them are. I feel like I'm a better person because of it, and knowing that I see the sun more than once a month. The only thing that I want to point out here is the content creator of the year. I think they should rename that award to most toxic fan base of the year, because then the award would actually be kind of entertaining, because it doesn't matter who they nominate for Content Creator of the Year. It's always going to be highly disputed, and people aren't going to give a shit. But if you have an award that says, hey, who has the worst fucking fan base on just the internet, and then you give the nominations and the award, like, could you imagine bringing someone on stage and be like, hey, congrats, your audience fucking sucks and nobody likes them. Here you go. Here's an award to remind you of that. Like, that'd be fucking awesome. And let the internet vote on it also. Like, boom, the Game Awards just became way more entertaining for everybody, especially myself. Like, I would watch the Game Awards all the way through every year if they did a most toxic creator and most toxic creator fan base of the year. No doubt. So, that's all the awards that I wanted to talk about. Really, disappointing year for the Game Awards. But, like I keep saying, the shallowness of the awards. But the big problem that I have with the Game Awards in recent years is that it feels more like a giant commercial than it is an award show. Like, they announce the winner, and then they immediately just start playing more advertisements to build up hype for the next year. Like, they don't care about the achievements here in 2021, and they're more concerned about building hype for 2022. And the Game Awards isn't really a place for that. It should be where you reflect on the previous year and recognize the talent, the creators that made these games that were worthy of being nominated for their awards, instead of trying to build hype for next year. Because it just feels like sometimes they don't care about it, and they don't give a true spotlight to these game developers for their achievements. That's just me. That's why I can't really get myself to watch the Game Awards through and through. I'm better off just reading about it or reading of anything funny that happened and then going back and watching highlights and whatnot. But I can't watch the whole thing through and through very well just because it feels like a giant ad. And I don't like that. And it doesn't feel like a true award show like it should be. And that's disappointing. That's disappointing to me. Just, especially when you see a game do so well that you really enjoyed and you're excited to see it potentially win an award, so you watch it through, but it gets just a brief time in the spotlight and then they move on to more ads and building up hype and shit for the future. And it seems like a lot of people feel that way also, from what I've been reading over these last few years, besides people writing about The Last of Us Part 2 sweeping a shit ton of awards and wanting to burn the place down. People talk about just how much of an advertisement it feels like, and not giving true recognition to the game developers in the here and now, and worrying more about the future, which they shouldn't be doing. But that's just my personal take on it. So, this actually turned out to be a much longer episode than I thought it would be, which is fine. I mean, I like making nice long content for everybody. Let me know what your thoughts on the Game Awards were down below. What your takes were. What did you think of the awards? Who got snuffed out of an award? Who won that shouldn't have? Who are you happy for? Who are you rooting for? Who should have been nominated for an award that wasn't even represented here? Let me know your thoughts down below. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. New playthrough starting next week. We wrap up Brilliant Diamond on Thursday, I believe. And then Friday, the next playthrough will start. I hope you guys tune in for it. I'm actually going to be playing a Fire Emblem game from the GBA era, one that I have not played before. I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to play through it for the first time and record my initial reactions to it. So I hope you guys come out for that. It should be a fun time. As for which Fire Emblem game I'm playing, you'll have to wait and find out on Friday. But I hope you guys tune in for that. Let's see, anything else? No, I think that's everything I got for you guys today. Once again, let me know thoughts and opinions down below. I hope I see you guys on Friday for the start of the new series, and on Thursday for the finale of Brilliant Diamond. That episode was crazy. It was a great time, at least in the end. The game finally got difficult in the end, but it sure took its sweet-ass time. And I will see you all later. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day. Peace.